Julia Bradbury is a television presenter and farming enthusiast who's here to launch a campaign to celebrate the efforts of British energy heroes. Merry Christmas to you. How are you?
Oh, well, Merry Christmas. I'm very, very well. Thank you. All the better for hearing your cheerful sounds.
Now, a lot of people in Britain don't actually know where their energy comes from, do they?
No, they don't. So I'm working with Smart Energy GB at the moment to launch a campaign to shine a light on the efforts of 6 what we're calling British energy heroes who are generating renewable energy to show people that we can be proud of the energy we produce in Britain. But the interesting thing that came out of this whole campaign is some research that revealed we're all a bit unsure about where our energy comes from. Yeah. On average, when people were given the question, where do you think our energy comes from? Most people said that we produce about 38% of our own electricity in the UK. Well, in reality, we actually generate 93% of our electricity. That's not gas, that's just electricity. So, quite a disparity there. And another stat that is just interesting because we hear a lot about renewable energy, and that's where we need to be focusing our attention. Renewables in 1991 accounted for just 2% of all the electricity that we generated in the UK. And now we're up to more than a quarter. Wow. With renewable, as at the end of last year, wind and power contributed 26.1% of the UK's total electricity generation. And solar is nudging in there at just under 2%. So our renewable energy use is improving decade on decade. And this campaign is to show how there are some really inventive, smart and great energy heroes out there who are doing their bit. And we can talk about those in a minute. And the other sort of bolt-on bit of information for all of this is smart meters, which I hope everybody out there will have heard of. Smart meters, which are the next generation of meters, they help as well. Because by making Britain's energy system more resilient and efficient, which is what smart meters do, we can rely less on gas that's imported from abroad in the future. So what the smart meter does is it sends half-hourly updates to the grid, and then the grid can more accurately read the energy that's being used across Great Britain and can take into account what to do when it comes to power surges and power cuts and that type of thing. So it is quite complicated, but I'm quite geeky, so I'm really interested in all of this, and I love it. And the fact that a smart meter can help me help the national grid, I like that. I think that's a sort of a feel good factor. But also, it does mean that we can monitor our own use at home of the energy that we're using.
Yeah, it's maybe understandable that some people might just assume that most of our electricity comes from abroad, because even though we're talking about electricity and not gas, electricity bills have gone up partly because of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia and all of that. So that maybe makes people think that our electricity comes from over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated, and this is where the mix of energy becomes quite complex. Yeah. So electricity prices are paired to gas prices, and we all know, because we're reading about it every day, we've got a problem with gas at the moment on a global scale because of the war in the Ukraine, and because that's increasing the demand for gas. So, and because our electricity prices are pinned to gas prices, that's why we have this horrible situation where, our electricity bills and our energy bills are going up. And that's why really it's so important to look at the future and to look at this forward-facing technology to see how we can become less reliant on gas that's imported from abroad. And on one of the many steps that we're talking about to do that is the smart meter, because it's basically we are boosting our network so that we are going to be more resilient in the future. And that is the only way forward. If we do want to use more renewables, if we want to be able to pull more on renewable sources that we can generate with wind and power in the UK, then we need to know how we're using our energy, and smart meters are the way to do that.
Yeah. And these energy heroes, are they becoming more common?
They are. I mean, you'll see this campaign is quite a big campaign, so you're going to see lots of faces popping up all over your screens and in magazines, and you'll probably hear them on the radio as well. I went to spend some time with with a lovely lady called Amy, who's a bit geeky like me, and she's really interested in what we're doing with our energy, not just for ourselves, but also on a national scale. So they had solar panels fitted on their house. It's helped reduce their energy bills, and is helping combat stuff during the energy prices as well, and energy price rises. And she said that even on a dull day, the solar panels generate enough electricity, enough energy to power their home, reduces the bills, and she feels good that she's putting less pressure on the national grid as well. But there's one man who I didn't get to meet, who I know that some broadcasters have been able to interview, Tony Rutherford, and this is a really fascinating story. I love this. So Tony is a treatments works manager at Northumbrian Water Group, and he's worked there for 20 years, and they are the only water company to use 100% of the sludge from wastewater treatment to create an energy. So literally from power to poo. So they break 2 million cubic meters of sludge. I think sludge is the nice way to put it. And that generates enough power around 20,000 homes. So when you hear stories like that, I just think it's really heartening that, if you imagine that's the only water company that's doing this. Imagine if we rolled that out across the country, if this was a technology that could be done across Great Britain. It would be brilliant, and it would really help us become more resilient in energy terms.
Yeah, you can make energy out of anything, can't you? I mean, doesn't King Charles have a car that's powered by cheese and wine?
I think he does. I think you're quite right. And he, of course, has been very forward-facing in all of these matters for a long, long time. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity to interview His Royal Highness, I think that's what we still call him now, the King, on
His Majesty, I think.
His Majesty, that's right, His Majesty. Yes, he was His Royal Highness when I interviewed him on several occasions at Highgrove, which is one of his favourite places. He's, I think, moved attentions, but he's very, very innovative when it comes to energy use and how we need to take care of things like our soils and what we can do to still be progressive, to still move forward, but to take into account all this sort of complex web of issues.
And if someone's maybe thinking of becoming an energy hero themselves, how do you actually get started? Because it sounds like the end result is amazing, but maybe people might find it a bit complicated to start with.
Yeah, well, first things first. I mean, the couple of energy heroes that we've spoken about, Amy and Tony, they are, those are sort of not extreme, but very full-on examples of what people can do. The first thing you can do is you can get a smart meter fitted, because by getting a smart meter fitted, you're helping the sophistication of the grid. And you can do that really simply. You can go to smartenergygb.org, or you can tap into your search engine, I want a smart meter, or most importantly, if you do want a smart meter as well, let your energy supplier know that you want a smart energy fitted, and they will do their utmost to get one rolled out to you as quickly as possible. I mean, at the moment, over half the homes in Great Britain now have a smart meter installed, and we just want more people to do that. And this campaign is about making people understand that you're really part of a more complicated picture if you get a smart meter fitted, but it's going to be for the good of the national grid, and it will help you as well at home.
Yeah. I think I saw an episode of Grand Designs recently where they built a house and they were completely self-sufficient. Are a lot of people turning towards that lifestyle, really, where they can generate all their own electricity and food? They don't have to be reliant on anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. Obviously, I think that there's a statistic that's from the UN or the World Health Organization, I'm not sure which one it is, which is that between 70 or 80% of the world is going to live in an urban environment by 2050. Yeah. So obviously we can't all run off and live in a shack or build our dream countryside home and have the ground source heat pump and be completely self-sufficient. So we've got to box clever, really, and we've got to think about how do we take care of our urban environments as well as those more rural environments. And smart meters are definitely sort of an easy fix and a quick hack for people who are living in an urban environment and have no chance or want or opportunity of changing their personal living circumstances soon. But yes, I mean, living off grid and not being able to run wild with bare feet is the dream, isn't it, for some people?
Well, where can we go to find out more information?
So head to smartenergygb.org, do the search, as I said, and say, I want a smart meter, and keep an eye out for the campaign. You'll see pictures of these wonderful energy heroes over the coming weeks weeks, I'm sure. And do your bit and look into smart meters.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today, and have a very pleasant Christmas.
Oh, and you too. And thanks for speaking nice and softly for me today.
Thank you.